Hi, I'm Dan. This is Vinyl Fury. I assume that you're here because you know who I am and what I talk about on this channel. So let's just get right into it. I've been listening to music more often lately, it seems. Really getting through the inbox, as it were. Catching up with some purchases I've made over the last several months, as well as listening to some stuff from the collection that I haven't in a while. And most of this one is going to be new stuff. So starting with this copy of 72 Seasons, the latest album from Metallica. Now, when I heard Metallica was putting out a new record, I didn't plan on getting it in any physical form, nor did I really expect it to be good. The last few, really, in my estimation, haven't really been. But I do enjoy Metallica from time to time. I'm not a huge fan, but when I'm in the mood, Metallica really hits the spot, you know? And I have purchased several reissues this year of the earlier albums. And I checked this out when it was released, and it's a damn good Metallica record. It has a lot of elements from several different periods. I would say mostly it feels like a combination to me of like Master of Puppets and Justice for All combined with like Load and Reload. Some of the songwriting harkens back to those older days, and the production kind of feels like that mid-90s period, which is overall, I think, a pretty good thing. They all sound like they're playing great. James, in particular, I think sounds really good. And I had a good time listening to this. And even then, I thought, well, I'm not going to buy it on vinyl. I don't really see the point in that. And retail, this was like 30 plus. But I was at a record store, this was at least 2 or 3 months ago, and this copy was in the new arrivals for $20. It was used, but it was I think at the Target exclusive. There's some of the inner sleeves. I don't know if these are like, they look older in these photos than they actually are. I don't know if it's just like a really raw, up close, high definition that really shows how old they look, or if there's some sort of enhancement, because they seem to look better than this. But this color is like a dark red, almost maroon, with some black haze, if you can see that. So I thought for $20, I'll bring it home and give it a shot. And I think it's cut by Chris Bellman. And apparently the band purchased Furnace Record Pressing, which is affiliated with Palace. It's a die-cut inner jacket. So they can press as many copies of every album that they want to now. And Furnace has, I think, been one of the better plants lately. And the vinyl, really no complaints. Wasn't too hot. The only thing that I noticed really in the mix was that the kick, there seemed to be some side chain compression, and if you don't know what that is, it's like an automation that gives preference to the frequency of the kick drum when it hits, so that it stands out dynamically. And that can sound a little weird when there's like a heavier kind of compression on everything else, but then the kick is like, it just sounds a little bit artificial in the way that the kick sounds in the mix. Other than that, I didn't really have many complaints in the way it sounded. Some of the songs maybe a little bit long, and by the time you get into the last part of the album, you're like, I feel like I've been hearing pretty much the same stuff for a while now. But it's still good. I enjoyed it. I mean, to be at this point in their career and put out a record that's like, oh shit, I think that's pretty cool. It is a little bit weird that they chose to not just fully put the Metallica logo on it like they always do. The cover's a little, I'm not sure about it, but it's the music that matters. And yeah, pretty damn good music. I know they're on tour, and I've never seen them, and I definitely wouldn't mind seeing them live. This is an album from the collection that I pulled out for the first time in a while. The band is called Hidden Hospitals. This is called Liars. It's their second full length. They had 2 EPs before that. It's their most recent full length, although this came out like 5 years ago at least. Yeah, about 5 years ago. Pretty cool. Clear with an orange and red kind of stripe. And I really enjoy it, and I hadn't listened to it in a bit. It sounds better on vinyl than their previous album did. That one, I think I might just rather listen to the CD. Production's really good on this, and they have a sound that's like, oh boy, how would I explain it? They're a unique and intriguing band to me, and they have a really good aesthetic choice across everything. They're hard rock, but with a very strong melodic sensibility, especially in the vocals, and they have some pretty catchy guitar work too. I don't know that I could think of a band that I would compare them to. Sometimes there's like some really heavy stuff, and sometimes it's just like really catchy. Actually, maybe I would say, if you know the band Mute Math, they're like a heavier Mute Math. That makes some sense, I think. It's definitely worth checking out. If you like, I don't know, to be like really general, bands like Incubus or Glassjaw, maybe even bands like Foals. Something along those lines, this would be worth checking out. I really enjoyed listening to this record again, and I'll leave a link to check them out on Bandcamp. There might be some pressings of this available through there too. One I hadn't played in a long time is Synchronicity by The Police. So in Discogs, I have this section, a folder called To Evaluate, which is all these records that I need to listen to and look at their condition, decide whether or not I should keep them or sell them or something. This is on that list because this copy is, I believe, a Quiex pressing. Wonder if you can, I don't think you'll be able to see it this way. You know, it looks black, but it's actually, maybe you can see it a little bit. It looks black, but if you hold it up to the light, it's purple. It's like a translucent purple. Maybe you can see that? Yeah. So it's worth a little bit more, but I played it and shit, man. This, I don't know, but this stands out to me as maybe their best record. Songs like King of Pain, after I heard that, it was stuck in my head for a while. So I thought I might not keep it, but by the time I was in the second side, I was like, nah, I should keep this. I remember getting this for $1. I think that's right. So definitely worth it. Yeah, Wrapped Around My Finger, that's another fantastic song. This is great. And it came out like a month before I was born, which is kind of incredible. I think this kind of has a timeless sound to it, even though it's 40 years old, which, yes, means that I am too. This is one I got in Seattle, and I paid too much for it, I think, but it was in pretty good condition, and it was a really nice record. Colin Walcott, it's called Cloud Dance. This has John Abercrombie and Jack DeJohnette, as well as Dave Holland, who I'm not familiar with, but this is on ECM from 1976. And Walcott plays on this sitar and tabla. And I have another Walcott record that I've had for a bit, which I enjoyed. So when I saw this, I recognized the name. It's ECM, DeJohnette, and Abercrombie. That's a pretty great lineup. And when I was checking out at that record store, I do remember one of the guys saying to them, the other guy, how great this was, and that Colin was in the band Oregon. Yeah, I listened to this, and it was pretty awesome. It immediately sets a sound and a tone that took a little bit to get into, but once I settled into it, it was really enjoyable. You know, it's just more great ECM style music for my collection. And I did not know that Colin passed away in a car accident like 40 years ago, sometime in the 80s, and he was only 39 years old. So this record and that other one I have, and I think one more, are the only like albums as a leader that he ever did, which was a shame. But yeah, great stuff. As well as Michael Manring. This is Unusual Weather on Windham Hill from 1986. And I also found this in Seattle. Much better price at Jive Time. And it was like near mint. Really, really good condition, as most Windham Hill records that I see are. And it's always interesting to hear an album from a musician that is primarily a bassist. It's a little bit unusual, and it's definitely interesting. So there's a full band here, but Michael plays bass and high bass, which I don't know if he means piccolo bass. I'm not really sure what that means. There's a little bit of vocal. He also does percussion, piano, synth, and cello, which is pretty impressive. There's sax, clarinet, flute, marimba. There's all kinds of stuff on here. And it's really interesting, and it sounded really good. The accompaniment was really great. It sounded really smooth and warm, and I really enjoyed listening to it. The bass tones were particularly enjoyable too. And it's a little bit more expensive at $8 for a Windham Hill record, but turned out to be worth it. I really enjoyed this. All right, I'm about out of time on this recording, and I'm also out of records for this one. But I do have another set of records that I've taken notes for that I've listened to lately. I've been thinking about doing this for a while, and we are about to see a heat wave here in Portland the next week or so. And I thought if I want to do it anytime soon, I better do it tonight, because I don't think I'm even going to really be playing records for a while. But yeah, I got some more great stuff to show and tell next time. So I will see you then. Thanks for watching. Take care. Enjoy your music.